By the way, I had the opportunity to witness one of your wonderful creations, the control room at Columbia, which is an amazing thing. So anyway, Benjamin, here you are. I'd like to thank Benjamin for being with us in a lot of places and being a great friend and supporter of Capital Link. And we're delighted, of course, to have him give his presentation. Thank you.
好，谢谢。很高兴今天在这里哈。上次跟 Capital Link 在一起是在不同地方，那所以这一次其实每一次 Capital Link 都是一个很好的机会，给我们说一下海运，说一下中国，说一下香港。那这个presentation 呢，其实我会从就是主要是“一带一路”和香港大湾区。“一带一路”都说过很多次了然后很多都很清楚怎么样可是“一带一路”跟香港、跟大湾区的关系怎么样了？这个我觉得其实可以从1978年开始说那个时候是香港改革开放I'm sorry I plan to use English. Actually, I think it's easier that way. Now, for the presentation, I'll use English. I think that would be easier for the interpreter to do it. Now, for my presentation, One Belt, One Road, Greater Bay Area, and also Hong Kong, I would like to start from 1978, 40 years ago. Now, at that point of time, the Shenzhen was being structured as the special economic zone. And then Hong Kong, right next to it, was bringing in a lot of investments, management expertise, and technology into the city. Now, by now, actually, Shenzhen's GDP actually is very close to Hong Kong's GDP already. Now, our GDP is about 320 billion US dollars, so it's very near to us. So you can see over the 40 years how much Shenzhen has grown. Now, for the relationship of Belt and Road and also China, in a way, also Greater Bay Area, actually, this is, I believe the model is the same, that China is kind of like back then Hong Kong. Belt and Road was kind of like back then China, that China will be bringing in investments, technology, and also management expertise into the Belt and Road countries. So I think the relationship is like that. And how is the Greater Bay Area relate to that? Now, Belt and Road, for China as a country, of course, is a big elements into it. But then for the Greater Bay Area, it is actually combining different things. It's combining one country, two system, 3 jurisdictions, and also 3 different custom zones. So actually over here, you can see that 11 cities is the structure of the Belt and Road, of the Greater Bay Area. And that actually you can see is actually including the market and also including the openness of Hong Kong and also, of course, the lifestyle of Macau. Now, the size of Greater Bay Area, you can see over here very clearly. GDP 1.6 trillion US dollars. To put it in perspective, is about the size of Russia or the size of Korea or the size of Australia. So you can see that this area, combination of 11 cities, is economic substance is rivaling a lot of big, mature, developed country already. Now, of course, for this Greater Bay Area, we would like to see what we are right now, and then also what's the potential and where we will go from there. I think this chart actually shows a very good comparison. We are not mean to competing with the other Bay Area. They are very far away, but they would be very good reference on the how and where we'll be heading. The land size population is very clear that we are much bigger than the other 3 Bay Areas, which means that this is the market, because that would be the number of people that they're consuming, and also that would be the area of the land which you will be investing or, for example, building factories and other things. For the existing size now, you can look at the GDP. Right now, actually, the New York Bay Area and the Tokyo Bay Area, they are a little bit bigger than ours. We're at 1.6, 1.7 trillion US dollars, whereas they are a bit more than us. However, if you look at the next line, the real GDP growth, then you can see we are at 7%, whereas New York, Tokyo, they are at 1 or 2%. San Francisco, they are much higher at 5%, but then their size is much smaller. So you can see in few years' time, actually, our GDP size will be bigger than that of Tokyo or than that of New York already. Now, and that is not the end of story, because if you look at other possibilities, for example, the number of world top universities, we've got 4, whereas the other Bay Areas, they've got 2 only. Now, for the growth of economy, you need to have the talents to support it, because no matter how much money you put in, it has to be executed and carried out, and that is where the talent comes in. And then also in terms of the comprehensiveness of the Greater Bay Area, that you can see that over there in Hong Kong, in terms of the stock market, the financial platform. Now, the stock market, we're at 7.6 trillion US dollars, whereas New York is much bigger, and that is the room for growth that we have. And whereas for Tokyo, which is at about 5.7, so it's smaller. And then, of course, we're here on the shipping side, so whatever transportation would be very relevant. And it also shows the diversity and the comprehensiveness of the economy. No matter it's port traffic on the sea or air traffic in the air, we are much bigger than all the others. So actually, this actually will be very well be presenting and the background of the Greater Bay Area. Now over here, you can see that when we look closer in the 11 cities, you can see that actually now one thing I would like to point out is that the GDP per capita, actually, Hong Kong is not the highest. Macau is the highest. It's because it's got very strong gaming revenue from the casinos. I don't know whether you know, actually Macau's gaming revenue, actually it has exceeded that of Las Vegas already. So it's one very strong. And of course, Macau is not only about casino, it's about the lifestyle. So actually it is a very good balance of the whole Greater Bay Area, because we don't want to talk only about work. After all, one item which is not here, I don't know whether you know, Hong Kong, we have the longest life expectancy around the world. And I think also you know that Hong Kong is actually quite a stressful place to work, very efficient. However, it's the balance of life that also is very easy for you to get to the green side of Hong Kong. In just half an hour, you will be either in the mountain or on the beach. So I think Macau actually is carrying the same function in the Greater Bay Area, that it is a place that you can chill and also relax and enjoy the lifestyle. Now, the Greater Bay Area and other difference which is got comparing to other Bay Area is that it has a structured a framework agreement, because 11 cities, we signed an agreement to work together on this, and it was led by Beijing. So here, 2019, we had the outline plan announced already. Now, I think some of you would be thinking that each city actually would have its own idea of how to develop, which is true. And it would be naive to think that will be 100% cooperation. But rather, this is about the commitment to do it. And also, there are different priorities. So right now, the priority is more on sustainability and innovation. Now, we just now had Toto Theo talking about the technology, and also the earlier panel talking about the silver cap. So the sustainability and also the innovation are very relevant. And it is where we can also carry a role. By 2022, we hope that we will already have a structure of how to work together. 2035, we should have already deepened the cooperation and have a very clear idea of what to do, who to do what within the Greater Bay Area. Now, over here, last year we had the policy address from our chief executive, and she mentioned about basket of different initiatives for the maritime industry. One thing which is very relevant to the maritime industry finance side is that we are working on a tax regime for the ship leasing industry, for the lessors. We had a very good success when we had announced the aircraft leasing regime 2 years ago. So it's a year and a half already passed. So actually, we are doing a lot on that. So by the time that 2019, when we have the next policy address by the chief executive, we should have a very good idea of how that ship leasing tax regime will be like. Now, of course, we would like to talk about the financial platform of Hong Kong also, because doing just only the ship leasing in Hong Kong is one thing we would like you to do. But then actually is more than that, because we think we have a very broad financial platform, financial service offering that you can make use of. no matter it's on securitization or ABS, actually of funding and financing of all those activities. Actually, we think we have a very broad and deep pocket for that. I think you have heard of people talking about Nine Hong Kong, which is referring to New York, London, and Hong Kong. So I think it puts it in very good perspective of how Hong Kong is ranked in the global international financial center, and Asia is represented by Hong Kong. And of course, this is something that I think it is actually very well reflected by our IPO success. For the past 10 years, we had 6 years which our IPO volume was the highest around the world, bigger than London, bigger than New York. So actually it shows you how active the market is and how much liquidity and money is got in the Hong Kong market. And of course, renminbi is another point. Of course, right now, a lot of all the US dollars is being used in majority for the maritime industry, especially shipbuilding and all those transactions. But then I think renminbi's liberalization, sooner or later it will happen, and Hong Kong is very well prepared for it. Now, our pool of renminbi in Hong Kong, we are the biggest offshore renminbi hub. We are having the pool is about 670 billion renminbi. At the highest point, actually, it was over 1,000 billion renminbi. Now, this actually would show you that we've got a pool big enough to support, no matter it's renminbi IPO or renminbi bonds, it's doing a lot. And also, we are handling over 70%, almost 80% of the global renminbi trade settlement. So this is an area that you can look at when you're doing long-term planning. Now, I mentioned about the ship leasing, and actually insurance is another part which we are trying to push a lot for marine insurance. It is announced that we will be cutting the tax rate by half from 16.5% on profit to 8.25%. So that would be a big support for the marine insurance industry. And besides that, for those there in the reinsurance area, there is a C-ROSS in place for the Hong Kong players, which is putting Hong Kong on a different tier in terms of the reinsurance market. For that, actually, I think we can talk more about that when you have time. I'll be here the whole day today, and we can meet up and also have a chat on the different issues, no matter it's on our initiatives from the government, Greater Bay Area, or Belt and Road. And I think now we are from InvestHK, Hong Kong government. We are mainly to help companies to enter into the Hong Kong market. And as I mentioned, Greater Bay Area is what we are trying to push right now. It's an integration of the whole area. And hopefully you can make use of Hong Kong for the Greater Bay Area and then the Belt and Road. Thank you.